Yes!
Competition. I hate this.
Okay.
I got a 925 ring, sorry.
Oh, congrats. Oh.
He says hi.
Sarah's home.
Yep.
Sarah's, we're gonna have a quick pause while Sarah gets in here.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is fine. I mean...
Yeah, what's the name of the add-on that helps you skip rounds?
Cross realm assist or
Yes, it is. Thank you.
some other stuff. There's like 7 of them.
Okay. Oh, wow. So now we're sort of just like waiting and chilling while we do a little meeting thing. I'm just gonna be flying around, hanging out with the birds. Hey, birds.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Sorry I'm behind. Hey
That's
there.
okay. Do you need a moment to catch your breath?
Oh, I'm good.
One moment. Amanda, can you hear me better now?
She gonna have her mic unmuted. She's getting prepared to go to work. But she's here to listen.
Okay.
And whatnot.
No, no problem. Can the rest
But I
of
can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
better.
Yeah, can the rest of you hear me fine?
Yeah, you're coming in louder.
I can hear you just fine, thanks.
You're good.
Okay, okay, we're gonna stop this. Can anybody not hear me that well other than Amanda? Okay. There we go. Yeah, Sarah's gonna start the meeting. I'm gonna be writing things down, and we're gonna go over some stuff. Sarah, this is going to be kind of like we had this small officer meeting before you showed up. The officers had a meeting yesterday. We're gonna go over some of the stuff that we talked about in it, and then we're going to move on to take comments and suggestions and other points of interest from everyone else in the channel. Probably go through it person by person rather than opening up the entire floor, because then it's just going to be a melee of people talking. So with that said, Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us this evening. The main point of tonight isn't like a witch hunt or anything. The point is for us to get together and talk about any complaints, issues, anything positive you had to bring up. That's great too. The main point is this guild has always been about
I'm sort of like spacing out a little bit while we're
and
starting
growing
to
not only in the game but also IRL. And with that, we sometimes will have these town hall meetings just to make sure that everybody's good, and that if there are any issues, we get them kind of nipped in the bud. And the tone and rate's been kind of not as great recently, and that's definitely something we would like to improve upon as an officer group, just because we want you guys to have a good time when you come to raid. That's our goal. Everybody comes here to relax and have fun. So we're going to be doing some minor tweaks to get back to where we need to be. So with that being said, I'll pass it back over to Mox.
Okay. I don't have a list, but I'm just writing things down, and everybody can hear me, so I have open mic. Okay. So yeah. Stuff with raid. We're going to be changing up a couple things. Hopefully they won't be too big of a deal.
I could get Monster Cat
it's
the
just
track
become
list to work either. It's really
different
bad.
time sinks and different effects for different aspects of the raid. The first is that we aren't going to be supplying feasts or flasks for farm stuff. And we're going to be making it very explicit what is farm and what is not by boss. Presently in normal, everything but Kill Jaden we're considering farm. So there won't be anything there. Odds are we're going to be doing attempts on Kill Jaden minus food and flasks, but if it becomes an issue where we just need something to make up the gap, then we'll switch to it.
I like this.
We will be doing feast and flasks for heroic until those start to become. That's Sarah's dog. He apparently disagrees. We're going to be doing that for progression in there for all of the bosses until we start getting basically the first wing-ish of them on farm, and then we'll switch to the other method.
be
It's
down there if
just
this
a
smells me.
big cost on the guild, so in that regard, start bringing your own flasks if you want them during that, and your own food if you want them during that.
Ooh, what's this thing?
And that is generally it for that like my aspect of the raid there.
Well,
Um,
it's
they,
not a if you want thing. It's you need to bring them.
Yeah. Well, for farm, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll have to get with you and figure out which ones I need specifically.
So yeah, and this is to save myself all manners of hell with that. This is if you wish to utilize me to help you get stuff. This is what you need to do. Open up your guild menu. It's the thing between the eyeball and the quest log. Go from player status to professions. At the top is alchemy. Click on mocks. There's a big ass list of everything that I can make. And that is what everything takes. So, yeah.
Well, I can generally make my own flask. I just need to know which one.
It's fine. It's just a matter of, yeah, figure that out. So. Okay. Xana, you have stuff.
Okay. So, one of the things that we've kind of been a little bit more lax about the longer that we've been, because we've had a lot of new people come in, and you know, we just kind of haven't really set up the family oriented discussion recently. So I do want to reiterate that we are more of a family and friend guild, so everyone is welcome to join and have a good time. But with that being said, with that family word being in there, some of our raid conversation and things like that are not necessarily family oriented. If, you know, someone's mom or dad would come in and listen to some of the things we say, it just might be a problem. Think of it as something, if you were trying to impress your significant other's parents for the first time and you heard what we talked about sometimes, you know, we're kind of iffy. So one of the things that we will be doing is setting up a hard list of rules as far as for our normal general chat room, just so that we can kind of keep some of those comments out of the general room, and we'll be setting up a more adult room so that you can go in and kind of have more of a free roam. But for raid specifically, we will be using the general, so we'll be using the guidelines set by Badawa. She has the list and she'll be posting it. With that being said, we are going to have a slight disciplinary system for raids when it comes to things like that. First thing is going to be a warning, just like a whisper, or I'm not going to call anybody out necessarily over raid. I'll just, unless it's something that I can just nip in the butt and be like, hey, we might want to, you know, quiet that down. Otherwise, I'll just send a whisper to someone specifically. And then if it happens again, we will mute certain players for, you know, a certain amount of time, just so that we can kind of catch these issues before they become a real problem. It's not going to be for the entire raid night, it's just going to be for while things are supposed to be serious and everything like that. So possibly just one boss pull or something like that, just to like remind you that certain conversation topics are not you know, family oriented. And I think that covers the conversation piece. And the reason I'm kind of spearheading this is because I'm also a very big offender of this, and I want to go ahead and apologize to everybody, because I have been one of the people that has not only instigated these, more adult conversations, but I've also instigated conversations that were just not needed to be had at specific times. So I want to go ahead and apologize to everybody on that part.
Thank you, Xana.
No
And I
problem.
do want to add the rules will be available for you guys to view tomorrow at raid time. I'm going to be sending them out to the officers here very shortly so that they can review them first, because I value each and every one of my officers' opinions. So we'll have them ready for you by tomorrow.
Where would we find those when they are available?
When they are available, they're going to be both on the, we're going to create a welcome tab in the Discord channel where every new member is going to automatically default to. It will be in that area. It will also be available on the website, www.darksuncabal.com, under the Code of Conduct section. And the voice roles will also be available in the Facebook group. I'll go ahead and sticky them to the Facebook group. Yeah.
So moving on, kind of next topic. We had this conversation with everybody a couple raids back. We're going to have it again. We highly want the farm raids to be completely enjoyable and relaxed because they're farm raids. But it needs to be kind of reiterated that whenever we're doing progression, it's time to go to work. There doesn't need to be questions about what you should be doing as far as gear or rotation. This all should be handled beforehand. And again, as far as pots go, show up prepared. Show up as prepared as possible. Yeah, do tell Bob to come in here. It's fun. Because as a non-raider, his input's probably a good perspective for us to have. So yeah, please do show up prepared. Along with that, be ready for instruction. Between polls, if there's discussion, that's fine. But when we step into the washroom, there doesn't need to be much conversation unless there's a question on I don't know what to do here. Or if we're progressing on a particular boss as we have, and there is what happened to you, and then a description should be forthcoming. And more of that, less of peanut gallery comments about that. We've been able to, using this system, get through a couple rough patches with bosses and figure out fairly quickly and painlessly how to do this and what was the problem. We'd like to continue on that route. So with that said, do any of the officers have anything else to talk about raid-wise?
The main thing is we would like for everybody to feel, free and welcome to express themselves. Just understanding that, sometimes it's playtime and sometimes it's work time. And I think we all want to progress, obviously, and get gear. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like I said, it's been kind of a blurred line recently, and it's been not just, it's been officers included. All of us have been guilty of it. We're not pointing fingers at anybody. I specifically will point the finger at myself when I do it, because the whole Prius thing, that was totally me. So yeah, this is just kind of like a recheck of what we need to be doing, and hopefully it'll get everybody back into a pace that everyone can be happy with when it comes to progression night. That way we're not wasting a whole lot of time, and we can hopefully get through a lot more than we have been.
And the other thing I do want to add to this discussion is some good news as well. I know a lot of you know that we have a lot of streamers, obviously, in our raid group. So with that being said, Callie Locke has actually stepped up to the plate and volunteered to help coordinate a network on Twitch for the guild, so that we have one centralized location for all of our streamers. And so part of the whole voice chat language thing, you know, rated R concept, is so that our streamers who do not have an over 18 warning can still stream during our raid, and, you know, feel comfortable with the content that we are producing as a group.
There's
So
a good thing right there. Sometimes
the
it
good
gets
thing
played
about
out
having a
vulgar.
Twitch network is we're going to be able to get more recruits coming, because they're going to see us and see what we're doing, see what we're having fun, and like-minded people want to join us, hopefully, so we can get enough people to hopefully have Mythic being a possibility. And that's the other thing, is a lot of these changes are going to hopefully help us get to that point sooner rather than later. So again, thank you, Callie, for stepping up. You're awesome. And if you have any questions about that, you can message either me or Callie. We'll be working on getting a streamer code of conduct going soon, and it'll be in the same places that I mentioned earlier, but not the Discord.
And also, we didn't talk about this, officers, but I'm going to put it out there just as my personal warning to folks. I don't expect this, and I expect that what I'm saying is a complete waste of my breath. But with that said, there have been several incidents, you know, with streamers and with organized gaming, where, you know, we understand if somebody slips with the rules, but there have been several instances very recently where people get fed up and their rage quit, they knowing what is being done is being streamed, constantly repeat, typically racial epithets over and over, and that ends up getting them banned. If anybody in our guild, and please recruiters, let everyone that joins from here on out know this, if that happens in any type of fashion in that way, it will be my new focus in life to make yours miserable. Not only will you be kicked out of this guild unceremoniously and not be allowed back, I will do everything I can to make sure that you get kicked out of this game. There's no place for that, especially in our guild. So, I'm saying this a second time because it needs to be said a second time. I expect I just wasted my breath. I don't think anybody in here would do that. But
See,
if anybody ever gets that inkling in their head, don't. Oh, don't.
Oh man.
Just to clarify things for Amanda, who's chatting there in Discord, it's just reiteration of rules we have, and that notice we've been kind of lax with them, and that's not exclusive to raid or guild members. Us officers have been just as guilty, but we want to make sure that environment that we're both raiding and the guild is in is a good environment where everyone can somewhat feel comfortable enough without worry of stress is probably the best word I'm going to use. So yeah, it's just a reiteration of rules we do have, a clarification of rules we had, probably just detailing more about the rules we have.
Yep. With that being said, we want to move on to the attendance issue, as well as goodness gracious, I'm having a brain fart. Anyway, I'll go over attendance first. Maybe I'll remember after I start talking. So I've been keeping track of attendance, and we've had a lot of people that just no call, no show, and that's just not going to fly. I haven't really been doing much about it. I haven't been penalizing people yet. That's going to change. So please make sure if you're not going to be at raid, you either message me on Facebook or you in-game mail me, or find some fashion to get a message to me so that I'm aware that you will not be there. Please. I remember what I was gonna say now. If you guys come to raid unprepared, from now on, there will be penalties for that. And when I say penalties, I mean like hits to EP. And if it becomes a regular occurrence, we will be benching people. So, you know, please be prepared not only for yourself, but because all of us are taking the time out of our day and our time in the game to be here together and be prepared and get stuff done. So, you know, don't waste everybody else's time. Please respect your fellow members and, you know, respect my time. That'd be great. Also, I need bacon. Nobody has sent me bacon. God damn it.
That's because it's delicious.
It sure is delicious, but I put where I got into the bank this week.
I did see that. I did see that. But I was disheartened to have to buy bacon off of cheese on the auction house. That sucks.
Wait, you should have just told me. I would have took it off and gave it to you.
I told you at raid on Sunday. I need bacon. And then I bought it on Monday.
Well, there's a bacon for 15. I'll give you that today.
Thank you. Officers, did I miss anything? Did we miss anything?
I'll send you 87 bacon.
That'd be awesome.
I'll send it right now. I just pulled it out of my bank.
Thank you.
I think we've covered much everything for the most part. If I think of anything, I'll say something, but...
Okay.
Okay. So, now the part of the conversation goes to you guys. This is the part where, you know, as people and as officers, we recognize that we're not perfect. And we recognize that, you know, the guild is an imperfect and fluid thing. It changes with every iteration of the raid team. It changes with every iteration of whoever's not on the raid team. And it's basically all the stuff that we've talked about tonight. It hasn't been born just from the officers. It isn't our, you know, idea of how the car should run. All of it is from input that we've gotten from other people in the guild. And you know, with that said, you know, sometimes people are able to, you know, or are comfortable with talking with some of us. Sometimes they aren't. We wanted to open this up, the entire floor to everybody. We want to know, like, if you've got a specific complaint, you know, please voice it, and please do so if you can in a constructive manner. Again, I say that and strongly believe I'm wasting my breath having to ask that, because I believe all of you will. So also, you know, if there's something about the guild that you would like augmented, changed, whether it's large scale or small scale, something that could help, or even a suggestion that you think can help us better serve everybody in the guild, please voice it now. Again, we kind of don't want this to turn into a melee of people talking, so if everybody's cool with it, I'm just gonna go down the list. And I'm gonna exclude the officers. Or I'll ask, do the officers, have you not brought anything up in our officer meeting that you feel that you want to now? Xantna?
I think I'm good.
Vale.
She had DC'd. I don't know if she's back.
Okay. Fur?
No, we're good.
True?
Yeah, I think this probably goes without saying, but it's been said before, but I didn't bring it up because I just thought of it, but if an incident ever arises where you are so frustrated or you're so mad where you just have to step out, you know what? We all get it. We're all human. And to be honest, it's probably safer just to step out than possibly say something you might regret. So that every incident ever happens, no one's going to be upset. Whisper whichever officer that you feel like you can want to whisper. Let them know, hey, it's blowing a gasket. I need to step out for a bit, and people most likely understand. I mean, I don't think of any reasons where we'll say, "Oh no, you can't leave." I don't see that happening with us.
Actually, I'll piggyback on what True said. I've actually had that happen somewhat recently, where I just had a really bad day, and I just whispered Mox, and I was like, "Hey, look, this is what's going on. This is, you know, XYZ, and I just can't really be on tonight. Better for me to step out than to be here and be mad." So, I mean, I don't know if that was about 2-3 weeks ago, so that was actually pretty recent. So we are extremely open to like things like that. Like if it's just one of those days, we understand.
Yeah, and it's happened to several people in the guild.
Just try to communicate with us, because I won't lie, sometimes people legitimately be concerned about you. If you just abruptly leave and say, "I gotta go," and you leave quickly, just try to be a little courteous. I know it's a rough day, let someone know, "Hey, just having a bad day," like Xana said, XYZ. Give us a little bit of insight. You don't have to tell us your personal life, but let us know, "Hey, bad day at work, family issues." So we know that you're okay, because we understand that sometimes life sucks. So just communicating it just makes us a little bit less, so we don't have to worry about you. Because we do worry and care.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question about that. My daughter is epileptic. If she goes into seizure, I'm not going to have time to explain. I'm just going to say, "I got to go."
Yeah,
Well, that's fine. Yeah, congratulate. Like you have just done what we asked. That is it. We know now.
Basically, you give us the heads up, and we'll know. We know that if you happen to not be there, not respond to whispers, we know something that because you've already given us the heads up. That's all we ask.
Yep.
And at the same time, if you have to and you can't tell us because it's such an emergency, if we kick you out of the group temporarily, please don't take it personally, and we will get you back in as soon as we can.
Okay.
So, back to Officer Bodwa, did you have anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Callie?
Kelly's not here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he had to work.
Ah. Okay, I'm gonna go down the list then. Chuck.
Hey, let me change something.
No, okay.
Oh wow, my dots and
Sorry, I pushed this off on. It was annoying. I actually do have a list of a couple things.
Oh shit.
Really, before I say anything, I just kind of want to preface it by saying that I think it's important to take a look at who showed up to this meeting tonight. I think that's an indication of people who are committed to wanting to make this raid team better and to really progress and to get into Mythic. And then a good look should be taken at the people that aren't. Yeah, that being said, there is, I guess, a list of things. Not really sure where to start. I'll address kind of what you said first. Are we still running normal progression with the full, not normal progression, normal farms with the full raid team as is? Is that the plan?
Yes. Generally, the plan is to do that basically for recruitment needs, which seems like it's closing soon, but I'm not 100% on that. And we certainly have a couple people that need geared. But yeah, it's been a fantastic recruitment tool. We've talked about this before, you and I have, and the intent is to not have this be the focus. Sorry. Seriously? I start talking to you and then her chihuahua starts attacking me. For no reason. I apologize. Yeah. That is not going to be for much longer.
Okay, so I guess a couple of comments on that one. I mean, where I'm going with this is that you've said in this meeting that food and flask are no longer be courtesies for normal nights, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. but at the same time, you've also asked for mats to be provided. I mean, is there not enough mats being provided as is to keep them coming? Because, I mean, it doesn't seem like you guys are farming this 100% yourself. It seems like the guild is pitching in on it, and then you're telling the guild how it's going to be rationed out. Which, again, I'm not 100% opposed to. It's just, it doesn't make sense that you would go, well, no food and flask, but hey, get us materials for food and flask. Does that make sense?
It does. And I can respond with that. A majority of it is bought by the guild or provided by me. With the only exception of that being recently from actually Cali, who provided a shit ton of Starlight Rose. But typically, a majority is farmed by me or bought with guild money. Yes, and Botwa. Fur and toe tag have often supplemented, but that is where that's kind of stood. So it's like that. And yeah, if we had, you know, all 20 of our raiders pitching in stuff constantly, you know, I would not have a choice but to say, okay, it's provided all the time. But we're trying to limit the hours that we have to spend on that a bit. So yeah, and like you brought up, as we're shifting from that being, you know, not a main aspect of what we do rating wise, that disparity is going to go away also.
Because we're spending all that time dropping the fees, dropping the flasks, making sure everybody's got their fees and got their flasks, you know. And it's just simply not necessary on farm nights, honestly. And the main reason we'd like you guys to have your stuff is not because we think we need that damage. It's a practice in preparedness. The expectation in any other raiding guild is when you apply, you have all that stuff. And if we're wanting to get into Mythic, then that should be the expectation we have. And that's just because we've been looking at other guilds and how they do things, and that's just the way it is. So it's kind of just a Mythic expectation at this point. Also, you know, I spend close to 10 hours a week farming. I know Mox spends at least probably twice that farming every week. And we don't get anything out of it other than, you know, you guys having everything you need, and we're happy to do it. But it's just really disheartening to see when it's just a small handful of people that are doing it.
It's a hard to stand.
And also, don't forget, guys, if
Stand.
you donate 2,000 gold a week, you get 2,000 EP. And if more than half or more donate for the week, you guys get repairs. So that gets turned on as soon as half or more donate. And the reason we did that is because that's the breaking point. Half of donations is how much it costs every week for repairs. Like, we did the math on it.
Okay, so I guess to piggyback off of that, the purpose of the raid team obviously is Mythic progression, which is what we're aiming to. There have been a few of us that have been talking this past week since you've announced the meeting.
Yep.
And we've come up with, like I said, there's a list. I think Sakar is going to post it into the chat so you can look at kind of the things that we've all decided as, I guess, amongst ourselves that need to be brought up and addressed. I said the first thing I did to preface that there are some specific things that we've called out that there may be some hurt feelings from. Again, you know, it's not hard feelings on a personal level. I think we all enjoy raiding together. It's just if we want to actually progress, there are some serious things that need to be fixed, and it does not come down to just dictating rules to the raid team. There are some feedback that needs to go both ways to make this more effective.
That's why we're here.
Okay.
Is that the list, Sakar? That's
Yeah,
not
let
the
me
list
read
I
it
put
real quick.
together.
It's too big. I'm having to cut it down.
All right, let's see here. There needs to be more comfort in having officers actually do officer exams and be examples of leadership for personnel being officer.
If I may address number 1, Mox and Botwa,
Yeah.
since it's kind of directly to do with me.
When it comes to raid calls, it's gonna be one person.
The reason I'm an officer is I built the web page.
And maintain it.
I maintain it. I pay for it. That's my contribution. As part of that contribution, I get to be an officer. I get it. I'm a tank. I'm, you know, maybe, you know, I don't handle my role effectively. I'm not perfect. I won't say I am. But there are much better ways to help me get better than to simply say, you suck.
Well, that was mentioned in the last raid that we had that you were here for, when I don't remember who specifically said it, but they pointed out, you know, hey, so-and-so's trying this, why don't you try this? And you kind of lost your shit because somebody had critiqued you, and you did not receive it well at all.
Okay, I'm gonna step in on this one. Everybody handles things differently. I think True's seen that over the years with some criticism she's had to dole out over the years. People process differently, and surprisingly, in Fur's case, he was actually gone Sunday for personal reasons. He came back Monday and actually sought me out to talk to me about what happened, and actually started talking about the math behind things, trying to figure exactly what's going on, and was open very much to contributions to getting better and fixing the issue. It was just the way that it was presented to him may not have been necessarily the best way to do it. And everybody's different, and I hope you can respect that. Everybody has different ways of like how they process, and I mean, you got to figure that out with each person. And that's maybe my contribution, is I know how everybody responds to criticism and the best way to talk to people. And I think that the criticism isn't necessarily fair. I can understand it being a constructive form of criticism, like this is what you could potentially improve upon. But to sit there and say that you should not be an officer, period, is a little rude, just a little bit. Because it's basically shrugging off the contribution that he has made, which is pretty big. A lot of us do a lot of things you guys don't see. So, you know, you're allowed to ask what exactly are you guys doing. We'd be more than happy to provide you with the day-to-day of what we do. So it should be more of a question, like, can you show us what you do as leaders? Each of us tell me what you do. As GM, each officer has an area of responsibility. As soon as you come on as an officer, you're brought on as an ambassador. You have 60 days to prove your worth, and then you get promoted to Shadow Counselor. You have an area of expertise that you focus on, and that's your focus. We help each other out a little bit. We try our best to stay in our lanes. I handle pretty much everything when I can to help out. That's kind of the way things have been. Fur has been in charge of the web page and maintaining the web page and getting that up and going. Xana and Kelly both are helping with recruitment, getting the right recruits in and getting the right type of people into the guild. And they stay pretty much on top of that and have been helping Mox out. Mox obviously raid leads, and he's been doing a damn good job, if I say so. I mean, I may be slightly biased, but I think he's been doing great. And then, like I said, Callie's going to be coming on to try and get the Twitch network together, which is awesome. True has recently stepped down from being an officer. Yep. True has decided to resign because True doesn't feel like the contribution is there. And that actually happened yesterday. I don't agree 100% because of all the help that she does with everybody's builds and advice and all that sort of stuff. But I respect it and I will accept it. And Necro, to be quite honest with everybody, I don't know where he is right now or what he's doing, and he will be having a talk when he gets back because he hasn't contributed anything, and I may be asking him to step down based on that conversation. And I'm willing to have those difficult conversations because that's my job. But I hope that kind of clears some of it up.
Okay. Looking at number 2, raid chatter, we've discussed that. Chuck, is there anything further that we need to discuss in regard to that we haven't already covered?
Just that there, I know you discussed it that it's going to be cut down, but there needs to be a hard line. I'm not gonna harp on it because I think you addressed the officer side of it too.
Okay.
I know Xana addressed it, so actually, yeah, I think that one's good.
Number 3 is wildly inaccurate. There are several people that do calls. I've specifically asked them to. Let's see. And I recall this is from Sakar on the DI when the shift should happen. That's not something I was calling because I assumed nobody knew when to switch DPS. That's something I was calling when DPSers weren't switching when they should have. On that boss specifically, if you don't know when that thing is happening, that you need to switch to the other boss, that's not something I should have to call. It's something I was following people with when I noticed that they weren't. So yeah, the comment that night was, you're waiting till like 5-6 seconds after. Yeah, because I was giving people that amount of time to uncork their heads and do the right thing. So as far as other people doing raid calls, that's been true in Vale and Greg and Leoz and Vadawa and I think all the healers. Yep. And Shadow. So
I think his mindset when he made that comment was more that, Mox, you're kind of taking the responsibility as a whole for the raid calls, especially when we move to a new fight. And it takes some time before people are identified. Vale in the last week has started making more raid calls. I think Sakar's point was more to try to get you to share some of your responsibility and not take it all on yourself.
right, and as I've said, with the list
You're on
of people I just
position
named,
right
I
now.
haven't been.
Sorry, I mean. Oh yeah, they've been pretty upset for a while. Well.
So 4.
Their list
Number
is
4,
kind
I
of
think I
outrageous,
addressed pretty
to be
well on
honest.
Sunday when I had the, mute your stream conversation. But I'm glad you did say it because I feel like the bad guy, and Mox I'm sure feels like the bad guy anytime we have to say that. There's going to be criticism. That's just the way that Mythic rating is. I mean, you got to get better. Everybody has room to get better, except for, like Emirasi with his 98% parses. Anyways, you guys need to be able to handle criticism. I agree 100% with that comment, 100%, including myself. I'm open for criticism, as long as it's valid.
Yeah, and this actually ties into I think number 8 and God, there's
Number 5.
There's a couple of things that tie into each other.
Yeah.
We tried to just coalesce it into a list that was digestible. Obviously, it was a wall of text, so it didn't work.
It's not that bad. I've seen way worse. At least you guys put the time and effort into formulating it into a list, and I really
I don't like
appreciate
this.
that.
A few of
makes
them
it a lot
actually have
easier
been
for us to
pissing me
fix
off.
things.
But I will hear their justifications to it.
Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Well, like I said, I mean we're all concerned about making sure we get into Mythic and that we're successful.
Yeah,
I'm worried about.
We
I mean,
are very
there's one thing on the
collaborative.
list saying they don't care if you're
This is
streaming. They're not going to basically
So
curb
with
dirt all
number
this.
9, that's the whole expectation on censoring ourselves, being a bit vulgar and everything like that. There are going to be certain guidelines set up for, hard nose on what you can and cannot, bring up in conversation. We're still going to be pretty lax on, we are trying to have as much fun as possible, not
I think
just
the point of number 9 though is that that's not a thing people want to have to worry about because that's how our team's kind of been from the beginning, and now suddenly we're asking people you can't say all of the things you've been saying so far and make the jokes you've been making, kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that too, but
Yeah, and that's why.
Somebody
I mean, if we're being honest, a lot of these people who joined this raid team joined it and met us, and that might be why they joined, is because they figured they could be that way here.
the context of it as well doesn't make sense. I think we also hit on that, where it's the game that you're playing, which primarily has an audience that's like 18 to 40, and that's being very generous. It's more on the latter half of it. And you're streaming at night. No kids are watching you, and Twitch doesn't care. They just don't want you to be racist. That's the only thing that anyone's ever going to care about as far as like on a stream perspective.
So how do you guys feel about modifying the voice rules to only include like the N word, the R word, and like any sort of bigotry, basically bigotry words like that?
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I don't think that's really been an issue for us, but I agree with that. Having a hard rule there, it makes sense.
We've had a couple pugs that have had an issue with it.
Oh,
at
I mean,
first.
pugs, if I see a pug do that, they're fucking out immediately.
Yeah,
Fuck them.
exactly. Exactly. But as far as like fuck, shit, you know, all that sort of
Well,
stuff.
I mean, I was not thinking that stuff was gonna be.
Whoa, bottom
Yeah,
Outlander.
exactly.
I think I know what
Because
you
I
guys
have
are.
a huge problem with that myself. Like, I was in Discord yesterday with everybody and playing, and I kept saying, like, really inappropriate stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to have a hard time with this because I am guilty of that, like, hardcore. So I could get behind that. I don't think Nuke generally has an issue, generally speaking.
I'm pretty sure when I met you, Badawa, the first thing you said was, "Welcome to the coolest fucking house here."
Yeah, exactly. And that's basically the way it is.
I mean,
All right, so let me hit the other 2 points that were
True
really
had
from
something
me.
to say really quickly, if you don't mind.
yeah, I've tried to say a couple things. I personally one of the ones I was all for cutting off some of the vulgarity, but sometimes it's plain out vulgar, and it seems like it's to the point of a vulgar, to the point you're just trying to one up each other. And I won't lie, as you actually listed, the audience is not that. To be perfectly honest, I know quite a few audience that I have are below the age of 16. I've talked to them personally. So the whole audience thing doesn't really apply to that degree as well. But at the same time, I mean, sometimes the amount of vulgarness we've done is outrageous. Like, I think we talked about masturbating freaking dogs in the butt or something like that. It's been a conversation or something. I mean, sometimes it's like
Not
overboard.
anytime recently. That was like 2 years ago.
I just give that as an example. Honestly, I tune out a lot of shit. And, I mean, I don't care about the swear words, that's no big deal, but I just don't want there to be extreme vulgarity to the point where some people are just sitting there with their mouth open and shocked, like, oh my god, what are they even talking about? Why is this even a conversation? I think that should be toned down a little bit. I'm not against having fun. Heck, you might participate in some vulgar talk every now and then. I just don't want to see this. I want to see the scale of it go down just a little bit, in my opinion.
Is there a happy medium?
Oh yeah.
I would say avoid stuff that you think even make a porn star blush.
I mean, babe, look at it as this. If you wouldn't say it in front of your mother, and to make that elaboration, because some people will say that stuff in front of their mother. If
Hell
you wouldn't
yeah, I
say
will.
it in front of
Same.
like a 12-year-old cousin, niece, nephew, son, daughter, and I don't need anyone chiming in, oh, I'll say that in front of my daughter or son or cousin or nephew. This is just an example. If you wouldn't say it there, maybe try not to try to one-up that so often. Like, I don't want a 5-minute rant talking about just degrees of fingering and fucking each other. I know I'm breaking the rules right now, literally saying that. Like, it's been conversations that's had before. I just don't want long extensive talks about it.
Well, on that note, one of the highest instigators of those conversations is not in guild anymore and has gone to a more PvP oriented guild.
Yep.
I mean, that shouldn't be a problem. If
Yeah.
these instances aren't happening, it shouldn't be a problem now, should it? I just want rules in place so when it does happen, it's clear and cut and people are aware.
So
That way-
I'll word it, and this is why I haven't sent the new rule list out to the officers yet, is because I was waiting for us to have this discussion first so I could edit it before I sent it out. Like I said, this is collaborative. We want your guys' input, and I think it's totally legit because I know myself, I'm gonna have a really, really hard time making myself PG-13 because yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll make it more clear cut and I'll make it more inclusive. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, there's just I have 2 more points on kind of out of this list, and then I'll let everybody else speak on theirs. Going back again to getting to mythic progression, I think we really, and like you said, Mock, we talked about this, we really need to find a better way to get there.
At the rate
because-
that we're going, that's not something that's going to happen within a reasonable period of time, honestly.
As a suggestion, I know we talk about, okay, we have the full raid team show up on Thursday night. We sit there, we clear trash, and we wait to kill the first boss because we're trying to find somebody who is in, LFG, who also wants to server transfer and be in the guild. Why can't we move that to a different night? Run a Wednesday night raid or something where you're specifically looking for people who want to be in guilds like that, and take the time with them, and then reserve the actual raid nights that we're having to, if we're going to run normal, okay, well then help people gear up their off-specs. Let's get stuff on farm that frankly should be on farm at this point. I mean, we're 6 of 9 heroic, and we haven't even really touched the 7 ones yet. I think there's a better way to get the guild progressed than how we're doing it. That wouldn't require really that much change.
Can I throw something in at that?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good suggestion, good idea. But keep in mind that there's a very fine line that we're following of mythic progression, or working to mythic progression, and family and friends. Most mythic progressing guilds are generally also not family friendly.
Not true.
I mean, not to sound like a dick when I say this, but there's kind of a reason for that.
That's not
Yeah,
true at
there
all.
is.
Yeah. So we're walking a very double-edged sword line, trying to have our feet in both those worlds while doing this, which also means the sacrifices it takes longer to do. So keeping that in mind, your suggestion is right and valid. Just throwing an extra little curveball to that for you. That's all.
So
And I think that was addressed in the list as well, number 8. So it's a fair point, a fair assessment. Mox, would you like to touch on it now?
Well, hold on, we've interrupted him twice now. If you expect that respect, let's make sure I'm not doing it down. Go
I
ahead.
didn't hear him. I apologize.
He's tried to talk twice. Please go ahead.
You chuckle.
Wait, I'm confused. Is Mox talking or am I talking?
You
are. I interrupted them so that you can talk because you got interrupted.
Sorry. Okay. Maybe not a raid on Wednesday night. Maybe
a recruitment
somebody-
event that's not.
Yeah, mythics, or post their logs so you can see their performance, or run an LFR with them. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that you don't need a full raid team there
You're probably
to
right. Sometimes
assess
I just don't.
if somebody's
Just don't come out and say it flat out.
Yeah.
You know, I do hide behind
to
euphemisms.
kind of
Guardians,
jump
I
in
absolutely
here,
do.
That's something
You're not
that
wrong.
I myself can.
But a child's not going to
try and get
understand
on and
euphemism.
do a bit more, and
If they get the euphemism,
and
then they're
we
old,
can
most
kinda
likely old enough to get
do
it.
recruitment and
See, that's like the fine fence I
gearing
walk. That's
people
why
a
I'm
little
okay
bit
with some
more
of
on
it.
the side.
I just don't want the full vulgarity being said. Because there
kinda
are nights
off
where it is just flat
line
out
a
said
little bit more
and thrown on the table,
frequently than I've
and then
been
someone
online
wants to
in the
one up it.
past. So that's one of the things that I'm also trying to
So I mean, I get it and all. but-
remedy.
To add on to your comment about gearing people a little bit more, looking at this list, it looks like one of the complaints is like bringing under-geared
That's fair.
people into our raids. And I kind of agree with that, honestly.
So do I.
Okay, the only other point I have to make, I'll get out of everybody's way. There's a lot of talk about, shut the fuck up or I'm gonna bench you, or don't do this, bench you, or you pop a Moonfeather statue, I'm gonna kick you out of the raid. Well, I think the latter of those is ridiculous, but if we're gonna have actual rules, which, and you've mentioned this before, but I want to hit it again. If we're going to have rules, if we're going to have people that are expected to make a performance standard, if we're going to have people that are expected to come with gyms and chants and have everything prepared, then when we say that people need to be benched or are going to be benched if they do X, Y, Z, they should actually be benched when it happens. Because I've heard that, I've been raiding with you guys for a month, and I've heard that in literally every raid I've been in, and I've not seen a single person benched yet. And yet we still have the same problems that get worse and worse and worse.
And that's a fair assessment. And like we touched on earlier, it's definitely something that will be changing. Serious FaceTime.
Real quick though, I could chime in about that toy and the moon feather shit. Seems ridiculous, but if y'all went to high school and you ever had a bully issue, where someone kept doing something over and over again, even though you asked them to stop, are we just going to say, yeah, that's okay, whatever, fuck them? It's been politely asked to fucking stop. It's not a toy, it's not increasing anything.
But I was severely bullied, and I feel like if it's something that's really harmless like that, then I don't get why it needs to be a big deal. It's like legitimately 100% harmless. You can write.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with you. I fully agree it's harmless. But someone has legitimately said, please stop, I ate it, I don't want it, please stop. And it's said every single time it's done. As much as it's harmless, what's the fucking point of doing it?
Not only
Other than just to antagonize that person.
Not only is that a issue as far as like that, but some people's computers are a little bit bottlenecking when it comes to that.
That I understand. If it's an issue with your computer, like I 100% get that because I know that feeling. If it's an issue with your computer, I understand saying don't do it, but give that as the reason for why we're not doing it, and people might be more understanding instead of just saying if you do it, I'm gonna bench you.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel it's unjust what you're saying. I feel completely when the person is complaining, please stop. I am running away. I don't want this happening. Please stop. Please stop. No, no, no. Like I said each time, I think we should have the common courtesy to listen. It's a fucking in-game toy.
I have literally never done it. Like, I've never dropped that statue. I don't even know if I have it, but I just, like, it's completely, unless it's fucking up your computer, which I get. Otherwise, it's a harmless thing. It's not like you're chasing somebody around and harassing them, specifically.
Actually, under legal reasons, it could be considered a form of harassment and cyberbullying.
Yeah, technically it could. It could. Because if people have sensory disorders, that is a trigger. That is a thing.
The fine line on that is if you're asked to stop and you don't stop, yes, it's technically pushing the harassment barrier. Legally, that's a stretch, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. So
I understand wanting to be courteous to your fellow raiders, but there are just better ways to go about asking for somebody not to do something instead of just fucking stop. I hate this so much. I'm gonna bench you, kind of thing. Like, say it fucks up my computer, or it triggers me. Say that. I mean,
I will admit wrong on that. I will not threaten to bench people anymore. I will ask them to stop nicely, and if they don't, I will just do it.
Threaten them, like, just do it. Like,
okay,
I mean,
I'll just do it. Yeah, it's easier to do that.
I'm not trying to argue with you, True, because you know I love you, but it's just like, it seems like that might be more incentive to people to want to do it just because it seems unfair to say I'm gonna bench you without giving a real reason as to why we're not doing it, other than I don't like it, like, I hate it. Say, like, I don't like it because it fucks up my computer, or because it bothers me, like, it legitimately bothers me, and I think people would be understanding of that. But just saying, oh my god, I hate this so much, and then throwing a tantrum about it, I think it doesn't make people want to stop.
I just suspect, I'm sorry, I apologize, it's not my fault. I just expect more maturity out of it. The group said it's still being done after someone asked it to stop. So
I mean, I don't think it's a big enough issue. I don't think it happens enough that it should be an issue, honestly.
Guys, we're beating a dead horse, honestly.
I apologize for bringing it up.
No,
okay.
You felt it needed to be brought up, and you weren't wrong. It is ridiculous. I don't disagree.
It was a legitimate, like, not necessarily the statue, but just everything surrounding it.
I reached onto the statue because that's directly a result of me threatening to do it, and I'm here to actually say something about it. And I do felt it was ridiculous when you say it's ridiculous, because I feel the statue is ridiculous, considering people have asked for it to stop, and it still fucking happens. It shouldn't even be a fucking topic.
I get that. I just think that, like, there are people who just think it's harmless, so they don't get the reasoning behind why not to do it. And if we just explain that to them, I think it's more effective. Especially on fun nights like farm night.
Alright. We need to move on, though.
Okay, let's move on from this topic, please.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Chuck?
No, I'll get
it. Okay. Amanda, you're next on the list.
Can she talk?
No, but she's been doing messages the whole time.
Oh, okay.
She's heading to work. She said she would pitch in when she's at work and free.
and we'll come back to that. Cheese.
Give me one second. So the biggest point I probably have is as far as, I guess, gear or some type of gear progression, is people not doing enough keystones. That's probably my biggest concern. It takes maybe 30 minutes to an hour to do something like a plus 10 or higher, if done properly. So it definitely helps getting us through progression, or even trying to get us through mythic progression at some point in time. That'd probably be the biggest point that I would try to make.
Okay.
Really quickly, I wanted to touch on point 6 on the list about EPGP. I don't disagree with you guys about the criticism, but the statement that we learn from our failures, and there are thousands of guilds that's done it before. We've actually done it before. We switched to Suicide Kings. We switched back to EPGP. The loot issue has been rehashed and hashed probably for the last 4 expansions. It's not a new topic, and it's not something we have not researched and done thorough research on. I don't disagree with the criticism, and I think it's a fair one right now. I actually would like to propose that we switch to a loot council system, because I feel like it's the best solution at this point.
Just kind of throw my 2 cents on that then. Let's say it is a farm night, then would the loot council system still apply, or would it be more wise to just personal loot so that anybody that would need said item can get better chances at getting it?
I think I'm of the feeling that personal would be better on farm nights, but I want to get everybody else's input.
I agree with that.
I personally agree myself as well.
I agree with that as well. And I'm one that is not looking for mythic progression.
I'm not understanding. Why would personal loot be better?
It gives you more pieces if you have a big enough group.
Yeah, so let's say there is 15 of us. Generally, the boss would drop 2 to 3 pieces, maybe 4. I don't know the math behind it all, but if there's 15 people, then let's say somebody who's looking for a ring, doesn't matter,
right now.
which stats are on
Shit,
it,
dude,
that boost up to.
There's almost like
secure
15,
their
20
ult.
people in here.
That's much more reasonable than saying, I hope this boss drops a ring with that kind of high level.
Can I throw something in on this person loot? Not that it at this point is going to really be a huge effect on me, but when we were Nighthold and we were running raids with enough people that weren't under the DSC tag, so we couldn't run Master Looter, I went 6 weeks without an upgrade. 6 weeks without a single gear upgrade out of Nighthold. So as much as I agree on farm nights, personal loot is not a bad idea, but there is somebody who's going to get screwed.
And
Yeah,
I
but
feel
that'll
like
happen
as it
with the other
stands
things,
right,
too.
and as it stands right now, there are people that are getting screwed out of loot that have been with us over and over and over and over again, and they're still not getting what they need, or it gets given to somebody new because their EP is way higher than.
Yeah, I feel like that's a
somebody else.
situation that can happen no matter what loot system you're using, but it's uncommon to like have it be that much of an issue as what you experience. So I
But-
think maybe you just got really bad luck.
Just to alliterate back onto the whole topic of personal loot, that's why I said on farm nights, where loot council, at that point, people are getting gear equally, we'll say, and then farm nights, those people that are on their main maybe have a quote-unquote better chance to get some kind of upgrade versus the people that are trying to level up a new alt or something can get gear as well just as fast.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And the other thing I wanted to throw out there, the officers and I discussed a while back about re-implementing the MVP of the week thing. We did it for a short period of time. It ended up being the same people getting voted every single time. But Mox and I had an idea about modifying that. And I think it might be a good solution to the loot council opportunity. What do you think, Mox? Do you want to propose it? No, you don't remember the conversation? Okay, I'll read it. Oh, refresh your mind on it. We were talking about the person who gets voted for MVP for the week is an officer for the week. And so with that being said, they get to tell us their input, see what we do on a day-to-day basis. That way, you know, there's kind of a little bit more appreciation there. And at the same time, they get the privileges of being an officer, you know, repairs, ability to go into the loot tabs and, you know, help people out. And also what I'm thinking might be a good idea with that is they could be part of the loot council for a week. And that way we're getting some variety and it's not so necessarily biased where it's officers versus members. Everybody has the opportunity to step up and, you know, fill that role. How do we feel about that, guys?
I like the idea of a loot council.
Yeah, I like the loot council. I'm not sure how I feel about having, you know, some random person be able to vote on loot council.
A loot
That's the thing
council
is,
go ahead.
It wouldn't be a random person. It would be somebody voted MVP of the week by the guild. So if you know, in that case, if there's somebody on the team that you're like, yeah, there's no way in hell that guy should be allowed like near copper's worth of stuff, let alone epic pieces to be handled, then they probably shouldn't be voted MVP.
A role I know I will never fill.
Sakura, you were saying something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, you guys know I've been in a lot of guilds, and by far the most successful loot system we've ever used were officer loots, or not officer loots, but like a loot council. The problem that you run into it with it is that you either have it work incredibly successful or it crashes and burns fucking horrible, because it's very hard to get people to be impartial to themselves. If you can get a good council with like, and not all of the officers, but if you had like 3 people, that way you always have like a majority decision on a decision. That is going to be probably the most preferred way to do it. But then again, you have to also be aware of, if you're doing a loot council, how you're going to decide how loot goes. Are you going to use it to reward people who are loyal even though they don't perform, or are you going to use it to give loot to higher performing players to encourage that more DPS because they're going to get like more gain out of it? That goes the same way with healing and tanking as well. Like, you just have to basically have everything set up how you want to go before you go into it. You can't figure it out in raid. You need to have it all ready to go. Otherwise, it's going to take an entire raid night trying to figure out who gets what. It just becomes a logistical nightmare. But you just have to be very, very, very prepared going into it. That's my like suggestion for it. I'm not opposed to it at all. I think y'all can definitely do it, but you just have to be aware of what makes it fail and what makes it succeed.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair assessment. I think before we implement a loot council system, it needs to be not unanimous, but a majority of people agreeing with it, A. And B, we have to set up who the loot council is going to be, and everybody who voted for it has to be on board with the people that were selected. I want everybody comfortable with this, and if they're not, then we'll look at something else. We'll look at another option.
Yeah. To give you an idea, when I was in Entropy, what we used was we used one person in charge of melee, one person in charge of range, one in charge of healers, and one in charge of the tank. And then the guild leader was just overseeing to make sure it was civil. That was how they entirely structured it, and it worked. Never had a problem with it. Never once ran into any sort of issue because they did it strictly by a performance standpoint and what got you the most gain net as a raid rather than an individual.
That seems like a fair system to me.
And there's even some add-ons that are built in for that, like RC Loot Council and such.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Let me look it up later. Thank you. Any other add-ons you could recommend?
That specifically will be the one that basically everybody can see it. And
Okay.
anybody that you add into there, you can add as part of the Loot Council member. And I would suggest, if you want to get everybody familiar with it, you can always run it on one of the off nights just to show.
Who is
Best
that?
and slot.
That's
Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Demon Hunter.
I am a terrible undergeared demon hunter.
He joined our guild when he ran with us last raid.
Yeah, the one I accidentally let die because I didn't taunt someone.
Which was
Okay,
terrible.
sorry. I didn't recognize your.
No, you're fine, man.
Apologies.
No, you're all good, man.
Hey,
Can I say?
on that suggestion, you asked about other add-ons. I think everybody should use Best in Slot. It's basically an add-on where you go through and you look at what the best in slot pieces are for you for that raid tier, and if anything drops, then it allows you to send a message to your EPGP to let whoever's doing yours know that, hey, this is the best item.
Is it fairly accurate?
You're the one that programs it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like,
I'll write
I
that
went
down
through
too.
and based mine off of the ICB's guide on Xiaomi. And it's basically just all the gear that had the highest mastery secondary.
That's
and I
fair.
can send that to you.
Right,
Okay,
but
that's cool.
RC Loot Council lets you do that. It actually has a main best in slot, main, off spec, and so on and so forth. You can
Okay.
actually click it so that the officers can see it.
Shad, I wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Okay, so after you explained the GP system to me, I figured out that if I don't roll anything for anything for a week or two, that I will have the highest priority and I can literally get anything I want.
Yep.
Like,
That's the thing. It's stockpiling is an issue with EPG.
yeah.
Sure. I
And
totally
like,
get that.
and like, even if I don't roll anything purposely, because I don't know, tier for DK didn't drop, or a ring that I need didn't drop, or anything like that, it still stockpiles because, well, nothing I needed dropped.
Yeah, that's a completely fair point. There's a
And
lot
then-
of downsides to EPG.
Yeah, I can tell.
I
Also,
get
Amy.
it. Yeah,
And-
and
When
was
it
gonna
does
say-
finally drop, and other people like also need that, it's like, well, I'm gonna snatch that kind of thing.
and so
I
that's
just
the
said
issue
raid.
we were having as well, though, with suicide
Maybe I
kits,
said it.
is there would be people that, you know, would just wait, and a week or two later they were at the top of the list.
Starby says hello.
And they
Oh,
rolled on the
double
one
tone?
piece that
Yeah.
they've been saving up for. And that's totally a thing. It's a thing with most loot
Sky
systems.
says
That's
hello.
why I've been doing research for a very long time, for like probably 5 years now, on what the best system is. And the reason we didn't do Loot Council before is because the groups that we had weren't necessarily comfortable with having a Loot Council. They didn't trust their officer base, which is fair. But I feel like we're kind of in a place with this particular group that you guys might be okay with it and might trust whoever is chosen. And I'm not necessarily saying that an officer is going to be the person selected to represent, you know, your particular class group. But I'm saying, like, I think you guys trust each other. We all get along fairly well, and I think it's a possibility with this group of people. And I think it's the most
This is a
advantageous,
lot of
to be
fucking
honest,
talking. I
but-
won't lie.
This is a democracy. It's not my choice alone. Everybody gets to, you know, cast their vote. Amanda, you asked if the EPGP system has decay like it should, or is it something we are fixing? It was broken for a little while, so I wasn't able to do it. It is fixed as of this week when I checked it, so it's something that could be done. So if we choose not to do a Loot Council system, that is definitely something that we can do instead. So that's a possibility.
Really well.
Were you gonna say something, Max, or no? You good?
No, I was good.
Yeah, it's really long. I mean, I'm impressed how long it's going. I'm happy about it.
All that cheese.
Some points I've taken personal offense to.
I talked last year.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Maury, you're up.
Well, as far as the Loot Council system, I have to agree it is by far the most effective, and we really do need to be careful. I've seen both ends of the spectrum way too many times. One suggestion I would like to make with it is, as far as the people on it, rotate it a little bit. You know, not every raid, but like every other month, have a new representative come in, and that way, not only does it keep fresh blood, but it makes the people learn about the capabilities of other classes, what gear, what abilities are going to benefit.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Sorry, can I cut in for a second?
Look, Sam, you don't have people who don't even study
I just
raid
wanted
fights.
to say that if we're gonna do a system like that, we absolutely really can't pug on progression knights anymore then. Because pugs aren't gonna be getting gear.
I agree 100%.
I'm sorry, Maury.
No, I see your point on that. Loot Council can work with pugs, but the only way I've seen it work, and I don't know about this expansion, but in previous expansions, maybe I've just been lucky, tier pieces are reserved for the guild members only, unless nobody needs it, you know?
I mean, I hate that personally.
Yeah, my point is that I think a lot of the focus is going to be gearing up the people we have on our raid team, and so pugs are definitely going to lose out a majority of the time.
Yeah, guild has priority if it's like best in slot. That's usually the problem with it.
Sorry, can I cut in also on this real quick? So I feel that most of our pugs are prospective recruits, and because they're trying out, that is a privilege in and of itself, and they should not expect to be included
true.
in gear unless no one else needs it. It's kind of my perspective.
I agree, and then we also have a big problem with bringing in prospective recruits who just never show up and never talk to us again. So I feel bad I don't want to give people gear like the first or even second time they're here because they might just not ever show up again, and that's a piece of gear that we lost out on unless nobody absolutely.
I kind of feel bad.
And I really like Judge's attitude on Sunday.
I like him.
Yes, I like him a lot too. He said, "I'm trying out. I don't expect to get any gear."
Yeah, and he actually
that was awesome.
The night that we were wiping on Mistress, he whispered me to let me know he would step out because he actually is, but he feels he's a little under geared for the content. And realistically, his item level's on the lower side, but so was True's when True started in TOS with us. And I looked at Judge's parses, and his parses are good for his item level. So I think he has genuine potential in that getting gear. I don't think he's ever held us back. But he pulls
no one
his
put
weight,
me on the same level. I'm pretty out of control with my paladin.
he has a really good attitude about loot and stuff like that. And actually, with all the kind of tension that's been going on, he's been really cool. So I really like Judge.
What's the rough battle? 9:15.
So real talk, I ran an LFR on my warrior on my other server, and Judge was in my
Really?
That's funny. I've been noticing a lot of the Blizzard servers have been preferring people that are on your real ID list or friends with you that you've run with before. So good job, Blizzard. GG, Sakar.
Just a side note on as far as like, Ask Mr. Robot does have a team optimizer. I don't know if we want to judge that with like an actual council.
No.
But to fine tune it is gonna be the issue. Like to actually get all the stat priorities correct.
Isn't that in EPGP though?
Not EPGP, maybe RC Loot Council. I can play with it. But the problem with Ask Mr. Robot is it's based on averages. And so if you're gearing to just the bare bones of what Mr. Robot has to offer, you're going to parse averagely. And that's a huge issue.
Just to kind of alliterate what I meant by that was to see, you know, as far as like deciding who, quote unquote, would get a piece of gear, because they would actually show you like the actual boost, but like you said, it would be average, but it would have a, I guess, like a second opinion kind of thing.
I used to swear by Ask Mr. Robot, but my experience this expansion has been horrible.
I agree with you,
There's
Chuck.
Nothing that has gone right. It was literally telling me on my priest to equip gear that was 50 and 60 item level drops.
Yep.
As of right now, they have definitely boosted up their algorithms, and it's kind of up there, a lot better than what it used to be. Fine tuning still applies to be that much better, but as far as basic, like just default stuff they have actually improved since Draenor, honestly.
I wouldn't disagree with that, but to be honest, it hasn't. Ask Mr. Robot is a great tool for if you're just beginning and learning, but if we're planning on doing what we're planning on doing,
I
I don't
might
think
not
it's
be
the
wrong.
best tool.
Nope.
And I think
I
honestly,
got
if
no.
we spend the time
No
to
Facebook's
make
open.
the
I just checked. I have no
correct for each
Facebook
of
open.
us in
It was a
class,
song.
by the time we're done doing that, it's going to be the next expansion. So I don't think that's a good tool. Although I do like the suggestion, maybe there's a different resource out there that may be better. And maybe this best in slot add-on might be that.
If I could actually, real quick. Oh, sorry, I just cut someone off. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I actually have all of the stat weights from Outset downloaded. Like, if you needed any more from those, I can do that.
Really, the best. Oh, sorry, True. You were gonna talk. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm actually going to vouch for RC Loot Council. And the best in slot stuff sounds fantastic for everyone. But, I mean, we can say it and then we can look at reality. Reality is, we have people who don't even look up fights. So, that means it's not going to be them looking up best in slots. That means it's going to be the designated person, whoever's doing the loot councils and weights. And I personally don't feel that's necessary too fair. And I mean, I guess it is a little bit of a requirement, but I don't think it should be necessary. RC Loot Council actually is a method to where you can include a typed note when you request loot. If you know what your best assault is, you literally type in that note, best assault, 100% need. And now, the officers who are voting on the Loot Council, or whoever is voting on Loot Council, can see that note and put that opinion into it.
And know that you know.
And yeah, because I mean, I couldn't really. If people actually put in effort on everything, we would be a lot further progressed. And expect to throw more work at them, but definitely kind of result in disappointment. Not to be mean or cruel.
I'm pretty sure that's what Red's raid team uses, because I think it was him I was watching stream and somebody put in their note when a piece dropped, I'm wet. So, because it was a really good piece.
And I think Ozzy uses it as well. So it seems like the best choice as far as loot goes.
It works well.
Does anybody have any concerns about switching to Loot Master?
I have no problem. The only thing I'd like to add in is when we choose the people for a loot council, we put it to the raid group vote for each particular area.
Well, that goes without saying. You have been in this guild before, right? This is how we operate.
No, I'm just saying I've seen a lot of loot councils be decided elsewise, and it's actually caused me to leave guild immediately because of how terrible it goes.
Yeah, that's definitely not what we're going to be doing.
Okay.
I don't think so either.
Harley.
We've went through maybe 3 people out of like 20.
What you gotta say.
But I won't lie. From what I've talked to Emmy, if they get to Gul'dan, I have no choice. I have to go. Or there will be repercussions for me.
Awesome.
I mean, I can't talk right now.
Holy crap, Holly's voice.
Yeah, I know, right?
God.
It's like a unicorn bounded across our feet. Lara, what you got?
Lara probably can't talk either.
He's spoken theme song.
Okay, Lara, I'll take that as a maybe later. We'll start.
Lara said that he wanted to talk to me after raid.
Oh, okay.
I mean, after this.
Okay, no problem. Leos.
Yes, I in general agree with everything that has been said. One key thing I kind of want to point out though is during raids with some of the things that are said by, no offense to officers, specifically to cite some examples. During for instance, what's that freaking demon with wings and Nighthold? I forgot his name.
Tichondrius?
Yeah, Tichondrius, you know, when the ads are being pulled back and then, like, they weren't going down quick enough, for instance, we just got yelled at saying just blanket criticism, get at it range or fucking ranged or something like that. And I feel that in raiding context, that's not really helpful. Because, for instance, in those cases, it was specifically the tanks were tanking them in the wrong position. But just yelling a blanket criticism towards a whole group of players in the raid is not helpful during a fight, because I feel that that increases confusion in general, and then it actually really pisses off some people. I know personally I've gotten pretty pissed when people make blanket
I can
statements like
sympathize with
that,
that.
even though like I know personally I'm doing my
I
job.
really sympathize with that.
Okay. I'm gonna ask this, and please be straightforward and honest. Like, I recall that happening. I recall also being upset about it. And, you know, I've been raid leader since then. Is this something that I've continued to perpetrate in our raids, or is this...
I mean, it's not, it's like, I'm sure you've done it before, but like other officers have as well done it, and it seems to be, it's just something that I don't feel is helpful, and it's kind of one of the first times where I've encountered it being a widespread thing among officers to do that type of blanket statements in the middle
I'm nice
of the
to you guys.
No, that's fine. Like, I'm gonna say, like, I don't recall myself doing it, because it's not my
They've got stage 2. They got her to phase 2
I
half out.
haven't done it because there definitely could have been a time where I've said that. And if that is the case and I'm not being constructive with the comment, you know, I try to leave it in like, range, let's tighten up on the pillars, please. Or, you know, for that kind of thing, if I'm not doing it, please, for the love of God, I don't want to be that guy that you just described.
I mean,
pull me aside, say something.
If it
to
makes
me
you feel
as
any
soon
better,
as it
ear do
happens, so
I. I've been
stop.
benched for my own first.
I haven't actually noticed it being a widespread thing. I'm not saying, like, you know, your perception obviously is different from mine, Liaz, and maybe you did notice it, but I feel like times that does happen, it's more out of frustration on the part of whoever's raid leading, rather than a thing that they just do to the raid, you know, to try to tell them what to do. It might be something that's continuously happening and they're getting frustrated, and at that point I think officers do need to take a step back and look at how they're approaching the situation and whether or not it's constructive.
Well, I'm not going to be an officer anymore.
I know with me personally, I've gotten the complaint that people don't like to be called out. And that goes back to number 2 or 3, I think it was, about people need to get a thicker skin. Like, that's a devil's advocate set of things. I think the reason why I personally may say, you know, ranged, pick it up or whatever, is because I've gotten the criticism that I shouldn't be calling people out specifically. So it's a double-edged sword. I'm fucked if I do and I'm fucked if I don't. You know what I mean?
To be honest, I think that if it's one person who is consistently doing something wrong, that they should be called out, maybe more in a private setting. But also in general, people are more likely to respond and do their job if you specifically ask them to do it. Because if you just say, hey, everybody do this thing, it's basically called the bystander effect, where they'll figure somebody else is going to do it so they don't have to. So maybe like whispering them or like pulling them aside and saying something to them. But you know, if it's said in a nice way, even if it's said in public, I feel like it should be a thing people should be able to like take, because you're on a raid team. And as long as it's constructive and, you know, not too harsh, then there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to say, hey, we need to maybe work on this.
All I can think of is how I've had people leave group before.
Is everybody comfortable with that, or does anybody have an issue with that?
And does that address your comment, Leos? Like,
yeah, it does. I just feel
Okay.
it needs to be more directed criticism, and even if you have to whisper that person after the fight, then so be it.
I agree.
But don't just make a blanket statement.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Yes. Thank
I
you.
can see where that could be frustrating, because I do get annoyed when somebody is like, healers, you need to do this, and it's like, I am doing it. I am dispelling. Like, healers, you need to dispel. Like, I am fucking doing it, okay?
Yeah,
That's
ditto.
actually one of my pet peeves, and I will leave a group if that stuff happens. But I will, to speak on that, I mean, I personally try a blanket statement, just because I literally can count on more than one hand the amount of people I've had to quit because of me, and me specifically. So, I mean, it's really tough to be calling people out on the fly or say something on the fly, because usually it doesn't come out nice.
Yeah, and
some
that's
people.
where my perspective comes from, where I say the blanket statements is literally because of that history I've had with True and the criticisms that have come from the way that True manages things. So I'm sorry, I will definitely adjust that myself as well.
But that's also why I'm not an officer anymore, so hopefully I don't be doing that anymore.
Hopefully you stop beating yourself up too.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about Aether. You really do beat up on yourself way too much.
I have a very high expectation of myself.
Okay, Lara, did you type stuff up yet?
I think Lara just wanted to talk
No.
after.
Oh, okay. Well.
Oh, and then sorry. Also, my other thing, and this was kind of touched on with the statue, is it was suggested that like before you get some type of punishment. Well, I don't know if it will work the same way with switching over to loot system and with the loot council, but like I am all in favor of EP deductions for that stuff because I know also like it was a point of controversy for a while with mage portals. I'm totally okay with having EP reductions for bad attitude.
Those
like
so
putting
you
up
go,
portals,
oh, neat! I like that.
stuff like that because
I mean, I know I got sat in Aussie because I wasn't at the gear level yet, so I couldn't be there for Mythic
the loot system type of thing.
Emerald Nightmare.
That's definitely something.
I know FYC I've been sat before on progression bosses and realm first bosses.
Okay, I'm gonna say it because it got lost in type and it may again. Lara, go ahead and type out whatever you have to add. We're going to like continue down the list, and then like after it's in there, then we can address it. And that way we can just kind of keep.
I mean,
this
you're not
moving.
wrong. I have really high expectations because I know I can do it.
Okay,
but
I
I just
have
fuck
a
up.
feeling that because of my physical difficulties, I'm actually holding you back, and I feel bad about that.
Oh. Okay.
Mox just pointed at me.
I try hard with mechanics, but getting the heal numbers that I need to get, I feel like I'm holding y'all back.
So, the thing is, Melissa, we wouldn't invite you and let you continue to stay if you were realistically holding us back. In that situation, we just will nicely say, you know, everybody who we're kind of carrying here, not to say that to be mean, but everybody who we're kind of carrying here, we're going to ask you to step out because we're having trouble with this boss and we'd like to kill it for the good of the raid team. Otherwise, if you come along and we invite you, you're not holding back the raid team because there is a lot of the normal stuff we have on farm. And like, you know, carrying one person through it is okay. You do things when we ask you to do them to the best of your ability when you are with us, and I appreciate that. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but I know that your abilities are limited, so that's fine. And we know that. And you've always been upfront with us about that.
Thank you, Kelly.
If you were a liability,
Sorry,
why was
I didn't mean
lead?
to take over if you were going to talk, Sarah.
No, I didn't have the words. You put it perfectly. Thank you.
Allow me to throw 5 cents in. If you were a liability, if I was Hill's lead, I would not hesitate to say, officer check, kick her down.
Oh, yeah.
And I will push it to happen. I'm not nice enough to be light-footed enough. If I feel 100% one person is responsible for holding us back, I'm usually pretty vocal about it, even more so if it's a healer. I would have said something. So I'll come to you directly if there's an issue, and if I don't, that means you're doing more than fine for what I'm expecting or what I believe you're capable of at that moment. But I am all for trying to help you and improve, and any way I can help, all you have to do is ask. If you get my attention and find me.
Oh, can I add you on Facebook, Truth?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's just, I feel bad about it because this is the first opportunity I've ever had to eat in a team.
You are absolutely fine, and everyone starts somewhere. And I'm more than willing to help you take steps up, and maybe we can talk more intimate at a later time about your physical limitations. Because I have worked with people with extreme physical limitations, or I've had to do things with just one arm when I've injured myself. Maybe I can help you try to get that going on to help you out as much as possible as well. But we can have that conversation at a later time.
Also, Melissa, I wanted to let you know about a group that I just recently became an admin in called Thoughtful Gaming. They are a gaming group that are in multiple games that work with limitations and are a forum to talk about it and have like a basis of support. So if you're interested in info on that, I'd be happy to give it to you after the meeting.
Sure.
Okay. Is there anything else, Melissa?
No, what y'all were saying about the loot council seems fair to me. I mean, I know I probably wouldn't qualify for loot very much, but that's fine by
I
me.
saw that coming. All right.
Okay.
Well, I think we agreed we wouldn't be using that on
We're
farm
gonna talk
nights
with people
anyway.
in our class
Yeah,
quarters
farm
brought up.
Yep.
Okay. Lyra. You've been.
I think that's been brought up, not like that, but it's been brought up. People are expected to perform their part and stop. Part of my phrasing, pussyfooting around or stepping on eggshells about it and be blunt about it. I think that's been brought up, and having people sit if they're not holding us back. That was brought up.
Maybe as a history lesson for everybody else in here. From the Draenor raids, the only people that have kind of remained from last expansion has been Bodwa, Lara, myself, Cheese, and True. So Lara's been in the guild for a very long time and has been helpful by just metrics that I can't even meet. So that's not a big deal, man. However, there is a drastic inaccuracy in one of your statements. The raids were not moved back because of you. We've had a tendency that this was kind of a West Coast guild, but it stopped being a West Coast guild. You know, it's West and East, and I don't know what coast Shadow's on.
Oceanic.
Okay. Yeah, we've that wasn't just because of you. That was to make life a little less terrible for our East Coast friends.
So basically, the raid starts at like 11 a.m. my time.
Oh, so that's not too bad.
Shadow.
Yeah, I know that feel.
It's in the middle of his day. That sucks.
Sorry, can I also make a statement on the whole timing with things? Because someone also brought up doing Mythic Pluses, and while we can pug those, running guild groups is great for that. And actually, I remember you guys held an event once to do Mythic Pluses as a guild, but you only did it at an earlier time. I think it was like 6 or maybe even 5 p.m. West Coast time. And so when you plan those smaller scale events, if you can have it like East Coast
my
friendly
quick pro for
version
this
and a West
is
Coast friendly
nothing stops you from planning it.
That would be great.
Anyone can
Fair
plan
point.
these events.
Definitely be doing that.
Okay, and to quickly interject, because it's kind of on the same topic, Amanda, you have never come up once as a problem like, dear God, why can't she show up? We completely know about your work schedule also, as we know about Lara's. And this is where the family part of everything comes in.
Oh well, I mean, it's
you know, we get it, and we're never going to like dock you.
I mean,
I
says
don't know,
let her know
points
what she can
favor.
Oh damn, they got the 68% stage 3. They might kill this tonight.
We get it. Many of us work also, so.
If I can interject on this and ask a question, it's more I know that what we're going for is, you know, being kind of people who have work schedules and stuff. I'm totally down for that.
I appreciate y'all hanging out and chat with me.
That's gonna be a big part of the thing that's gonna hold us back from actually getting to Mythic, because I understand that some people can't show up sometimes and that it's for a good reason and we're not docking them for that. But we need to have, I guess, kind of a team of solid people who can show up to every raid night if we're gonna want to raid Mythic.
Yep, this is true.
And I feel like those people, you know, maybe if somebody who has a work schedule that doesn't line up with our raids, if they can come to certain raids, maybe they sit on the sidelines and kind of come in if we need a person. But people who show up to every raid should get priority.
Yes, I completely agree. And this has been like.
All right, I'm stepping away real quick. This is happening. BRB real quick.
Conversation. If you haven't and you're new, you know, this is why we've been trying to get a set of 25 people, even though Mythic is for 20, so we can have that flexibility. So that, yeah, that has been a thing.
We need to work more on recruiting people who can show up to every raid then, because I know that we're kind of people with, bad work schedules, but if we're gonna do Mythic, we need to have people. It's like we need bodies, and we need, especially people who are competent is the next thing, but...
And that goes back to the conversation that Mox had the other day about, like, don't offer to switch because we're recruiting for specific roles on purpose, knowing who can and can't show up on certain days. So please stay what you are, unless you're, like, so unhappy you want to, like, go bury your face in a pillow. That's, different situation.
Okay. Pith, what you got?
I think y'all already pretty much covered it. Most of the things that I heard from different people afterwards when they were talking about this town hall meeting coming into fruition, specifically what they touched on was the factor of people being stat that need to be set, and you already covered that. And the RC Loot Council, you kind of already covered that too, so I got nothing else to add.
All right, cool. Sakar.
Oh, God.
Now pretty much everything that I had wanted to put on was already in that list. Like, we went ahead and got that together beforehand. Everything else has been pretty much hashed out as we chatted. So.
And again, I super appreciate you guys putting everything down into a list. Like, the point of tonight is to be better, and we're not opposed to criticism and improvement. So thank you so much for taking the time to write it all up, because we know you guys aren't happy. I knew it. That's why I called the meeting. And we can't fix something unless we know it's broken. So thank you for taking the time to put it in this form.
Yeah, to add to that, with what you said at the beginning when Rose posted, I wanted to say sorry to Fur. I should have went through and redone that again, just to make it not be so targeted at you. I did not mean for that to come across at all. Like, I put the list together, but I didn't mean for that to be pointed like straight at you at the beginning.
Thank you.
This isn't a meeting, Nappy. This is a collaboration,
Okay,
a meeting
Shadow,
of
you're up.
minds. I guess meeting of minds is the easiest way to say it.
I
mean,
I don't really have much to say aside from, like, at this point in time, like, I haven't been the happiest lately. Pretty sure everyone's picked up on it. I've kind of been around the point of I look at my DK, I sigh, and then I debate whether or not to log in anymore.
Is there anything we can do to make it better for you?
Plays page.
I'm not really sure. Like, I enjoy tanking, but I don't at the same time. I run a lot of pug stuff during the week. I'm almost always on. I'm really flexible, and, like, I don't know, I just...
Nappy, if you're reliable,
really bad, but, like,
let me know now.
doing
If you can make the
tanking
times
with
and show
cheese
up,
the other day, it worked
I have
fucking
no problem
excellently. And
talking you as being a tech
like,
Nappy.
there really wasn't many
But you need
issues,
to
so
be good.
I don't know, like, what the tanking issue is, and I don't know how to fix it.
I just let her know
And-
that in our conversation yesterday. Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted you to know that that has been thrown out there already.
Like,
Yeah,
I
shut
don't
up.
know how to fix it, but I am really flexible. I'm almost always on, so I can be contacted to say, can we go through this? Or, I don't know.
Yeah,
just-
yeah, Shadow, I'll go over what I and Mox and a few other people I had discussions with went over, and that way we
Yeah,
can work
that's-
out that issue.
I mean, that's just what you want to look
Alright.
at. Like, I won't lie, I literally spent 6 days
Because
a
at
night
this
fucking
point,
raiding.
I've just been
And it gets
focusing on my
rough.
mage that is
That's
now just 6
probably
hours
partially why I hold
levels
myself to
lower
such a
than my
standard,
DK.
because I am literally sinking
I've been having
18,
lots of
20
fun
hours
with
a
it,
week
and I
into
just
this
don't
fucking
know what to do.
game. So, I mean,
So
I've
some
gotta go
communication, like, will be key.
I used to do
And
more,
basically,
but I did stuff at
Yeah,
Convert to
that's it,
Raid, because I was part of Convert to Run and Convert to
Stevie
Raid.
Pookins?
Actually, more than one Convert to Raid team. And I was an event planner for Convert to Raid. I ended up doing a lot of stuff then, too.
I guess most of the stuff we talked about hasn't been a really big issue for me, I think, just because I don't care all
Yeah.
that much about a lot
Well,
of it.
I
but the
mean,
one thing that
I'm
has been
a-
frustrating is
I'm a
kind of,
disabled vet.
in some cases, the slow
I hate to say that, I'm not saying that to
pace,
say
raid
it, but I
progression
mean,
or
that's
consistent
literally, I guess,
killing
the
of one
easiest way to
boss that
describe
we've done
myself.
before, that type of
Like,
thing.
I literally struggle
I'm
leaving
not
my
too
house
sure on the specific solutions to that,
due to
but it
some
seems like
problems
we
I'm
kind of
having,
need to,
and physically, I can't be on my feet
stabilize
more than
the
10,
tank
15
scenario a
minutes at a
little bit,
time
and then
without being a
usually
pain.
in our runs, even our progression runs, there are a few DPS who are there who aren't really parsing well or are under geared or and I think more of the problem is failing mechanics. And I mean, obviously we shouldn't call those people out or just like tell them to get good or kick them out of the guild, but you know, I think kind of lighting a fire under some people's butts would be good. And it's also, those people probably aren't the ones who are here tonight too, so.
That is an extremely fair statement.
Okay.
And that's definitely going to be what's
Oh.
happening, correct, Mox?
They almost got her.
Yes. Kogu.
I know recently, since I switched out of my rogue, I did that. I wasn't pulling the numbers and I couldn't figure out why. Me being the only rogue in the guild, I couldn't go ask one of the other rogues to help. So that's why I switched to a hunter, and I've been getting help from Mom to gear him up and help with DPS, and as with Twisted Sister Lady and TOS, I have no idea what her name is. I actually told Ottawa to pull me that night because I wasn't doing the numbers. I do apologize for everybody for my lack of being good. I'm working on it, honestly. But I asked for that.
Literally trying to get.
Yeah, I'm trying. Just
the fact that you're trying, we appreciate.
Slow process.
Especially.
And more often than not, the people that are doing bad and care know, and they message me. Like Nappy messaged me on Sunday. I had him sit for a little bit. So generally speaking, most people are self-aware, and we'll definitely be cracking down more on people that aren't parsing well if it becomes an issue, getting them out quicker. And also less downtime between pulls. Like honestly, it drives me nuts too. I really don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Div said he'd help him. It was literally the thing that was said.
It drives me
but
crazy
it
too.
just never lined
I
up.
think that
and
from this point on, we need to make it really
I think it
clear
was a bit
that
of
people need
intimidation
to show
thing,
up
too.
to raids prepared. That's not just, you know, talking about flasks and food, but also enchants. If you get a new piece of gear and you want it enchanted, or you get a new piece of gear that has a gem slot, feel free to please ask. You know, that's fine. But if I need to enchant like 4 pieces of your gear in the middle of a boss that we've been wiping on for 2 hours, that's a little frustrating. Especially because those enchants on your gear, they are important. Like, it should have been done. So I think that for that kind of thing, while we're talking about, you know, people with low parses and stuff like that, we should also include people who are not showing up to raid prepared with all of their stuff in order, because that is important.
Yep, I agree 100%. Again,
Sorry
like
if I
before,
stole that from you.
No, you're fine. Like I said in the beginning, like, it's not just your time that you're wasting 20 plus people's time as well.
Yeah.
So just respect your fellow members. And again, like, this doesn't apply to a majority of people here tonight, because you were the ones who care, you were the ones who are here, and again, thank you for being here. The ones who aren't here, I've screenshotted who is here, and I will be talking to those who are not here with bad cop, because I'm good cop most of the time. That way it's handled. I don't want you guys thinking, you know, the people that weren't here tonight, good for them, you know, they missed out and wasted all their, you know, didn't waste their time. They're going to be penalties for not being here tonight. And vice versa, rewards for being here as well, because you guys were frustrated. Some of you to the point of quitting. We don't want that. We want your opinions to be heard, and we are doing everything in our power to change them and make this the best raiding environment possible for everybody.
Yeah,
So
I'm
there's
not
that
gonna lie, I was one of those people who was like, you know, I can just like stop playing the game. Like, that's kind of the point I've been at a little bit lately with some of the stuff, but I genuinely want it to work out, because I like you guys all as people, and I want to see us have a successful raid team. And I know a lot of people have paid money to come to this server and raid with this guild, and I want it to be worth everyone's while. That being said, also on the note of enchants, if you need enchants, you can whisper me if I'm on an alt. My alts are marked in the guild with Veil alt as a note. You can send me an in-game mail on Veil. You can message me on Facebook. You can tag me in a post in the Facebook group. My name is Kelly. I mean, if you need enchants before raid, let me know.
Chuckle, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, on the note of what Amanda said in chat, it's something that's been talked about before, but this is a game where people come to have fun and kind of relax. It's not Tinder. I mean, if you're coming into the guild and we make jokes all the time, but if somebody asks you to stop when you're making like a personal advance on somebody, you should probably stop. That's clearly unwelcome territory if they're asking you to. But there has been a couple instances of people who have kept pressing it after being asked to stop.
Can I say something on that real quickly? So as a woman, I've been in that place before, and I've also been in a place where I'm not comfortable saying that necessarily to the person's face, because it's a really uncomfortable topic, and it's something us women face on a regular basis. If you're not comfortable necessarily telling that person that you're not comfortable, come to me, come to Vale.
The holy priests are fucking crazy.
No problem there doing it at all. This is a safe place. And if you don't feel safe for any reason, let us know, because we can fix it, and we will fix it.
If I go to Spirit, I can still hit 5 mil.
And hopefully a lot of the people in our guild are the kind of people who, when asked to stop, will stop. And if they're not, then quite honestly, I'm not sure I want them here. So that being said, if you are ever approached and said, you're making this person uncomfortable, even if you didn't mean to, just say, like, I didn't mean to do that. I acknowledge that. I'll try to, fix it.
I'm actually going
and
for the holy
don't be that guy who is like, or a girl who is like, well, I mean, it's just harmless, and I'm not doing anything wrong. Just like acknowledge that you're making someone uncomfortable. It's okay. Don't be that person.
Can I volunteer to help with that as well?
What do you mean? How and what way?
Yeah. Being able to explain to somebody how it might make somebody uncomfortable.
I think that's a great idea.
Mox,
I've got something that I am in slight disagreement with you on that, Vale. And it's for this guild, I'm of the mind that there will be, I will try to not do that anymore. There is no try. You will not anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
That is it. If anybody, male or female, is like, listen, I'm uncomfortable with what you're saying to me, please stop that. Or it's brought to our attention and we pull you aside and say, listen, this is a thing that's been brought to our attention. We need you to stop that. If your response is, I will try, my response will be guild kick. Your response will be, it will not happen again. This is not a thing that happens in this guild. This is a safe space for all of our members, no matter what their genitals are or what they think their genitals should be. That is that.
Well,
we'll talk about it later.
I would be coming at it from somebody that lost a spouse, so I know how it goes.
Chuck, did you still want to talk? I'm sorry, I just saw chat.
No, that was it. Just there's people that meet through video games and they date, and it's cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, guys, like I met my ex through this game, and we dated for a long time, but there's
That's a wonderful example.
We dated for 3 years. Like, I mean, you can meet people through this game, and sometimes you click with somebody, but you can't force it. You can't make somebody uncomfortable. You can't be creepy.
Entire Aussie
like,
time
just don't do it.
Mox and I met in LFG. I plugged him in for Hellfire. That's, it happened. But I talked to him first. We gained a friendship first. I asked him out, so it's different. You have to know what people are comfortable with. If you have a hard time knowing what that line is, because one reason or the other, if you're on the spectrum, come to me. I work with people on the spectrum. I'm more than happy to help you. You just need to let me know.
They did not get it. They got down to 50% third phase.
Shadow, you wanted to respond to something that Kelly said earlier?
Oh no, I was agreeing with the thing about quitting WoW but not wanting to quit because you guys are cool and whatnot. It wasn't exactly how Vale said it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, I think we all were at that place. I was there too. Wasn't I, Mox, on Sunday? Didn't I say that? And so I
I'm so
recognize
jealous of
that,
him.
and I know
This-
my job
this
as a
guy's fucking
GM
got my
is
priest
to
beat
notice
here.
it and fix it. And the only way I can fix it is if everybody
Like,
comes
what
together
the
and we can talk about it. Communication is so important,
so
and I
fucking
trust
weird.
each and every one of you to be able to, you know, come here and do that and do it in an adult way. And I'm very impressed, and I'm super happy with, you know, what we've done tonight.
Okay, that so Totag, True Veil. Officers, do you have anything? I know we were in the front end and didn't have anything. Does anybody have
Yeah,
anything
I
to
imagine.
add, considering everything that has been said? Nope.
I don't have anything to add. I think we covered everything fairly well.
Okay. Non-officers, do you guys have anything to add that you felt wasn't getting in edgewise, or you were maybe shy about saying, but may not be, considering everything that we've talked about? If so, please bring it up. And again, I'm going to make this blanket statement to everyone, officer, non-officer, whatever. If it is something that you are uncomfortable talking about or uncomfortable dealing with in a public forum, because that is what this is, and you need to talk to us, Ottawa, myself, the rest of the officers, we're always here to listen.
I don't think there's anything I care for from her.
And it needs to be said because, you know, we've talked a lot about rating tonight. It's very rating focused, but that's kind of half of what we do. This is a family guild. If any of you have any problems that aren't guild related, please understand that if you need a sounding board, if you need anything, you can also talk to us about that. It's happened many times to many of us. I've had many conversations, some of which have been with people that are in this channel, and the rest of the channel doesn't know who those people are, nor do they know what we talked about, because that's how things roll. So if there's anything that you guys need to add, need to deal with, need to talk about, that you're not comfortable here, send us a message. Doesn't mean it doesn't even have to be about WoW. So.
And also, this meeting, just to add on to that, isn't like just for the raid team, like he was saying. It's for the pretty much the entire guild. And I'm the healing officer for raids now. But what I originally came on as was kind of like I help with recruitment because it kind of ties into my original job, which was kind of being a liaison for you guys and making sure everybody's happy and comfortable, and you know, all the communications going on from all sides. And that's not just the raid team. So if you have any issues to do with the guild in general, or you want to try to set something up, if some of you are into PvP or want to try to set up events or have ideas, talk to us, let me know.
Yeesh.
And again, if any of you are unclear about what each of us does individually, you're more than welcome to message me. This is my job, organizational management. I build the bones of this guild, and I'd like to think I'm the backbone of it. So if you have any questions as far as that goes, I'd be more than happy to enlighten you on all the work that my officer team does, and their wonderful contributions. I did want to throw out there, tomorrow during raid, it's going to be farm night, so it'll be a good night for you to discuss first of all, whether we're going to be doing loot council. We're going to do a formal vote on it with ready not ready, and then voting on who is going to be the how we're going to do the loot council officers, and then who they are going to be. So we'll spend a little bit of time doing that tomorrow and killing bosses, and then we can all fuck around, get drunk or whatever. Also, like I said, I'll have those voice chat rules going for tomorrow as well.
On an off note, or actually, I guess piggybacking was used a lot tonight, so I will use it as well. I don't think it'd probably be a terrible idea if people had recommendations who they'd like to see being loot counselors, to go ahead and send in-game mail to Baldua and or Mox with their thoughts on that, just to get some information already going in. Because the more information we have going in, I imagine, what Baldua has going in, the easier it'll be to get stuff more cemented and take less time during our raid time, I imagine.
And there have been a lot of great suggestions. Thank you for that. I don't know if you even noticed this, but I am a very collaborative leader. I don't know everything at all, and I make mistakes, and I want to be a better person and improve. So if you have anything to, that would help me be a better person, be a better GM, let me know, please, because I want to be better. With that being said, Maury, if you wouldn't mind sticking around for just a couple seconds after this, I think we're close to letting everybody go, right, Mox? Is there anything else you need to say?
Spirit?
No?
I'm not a collaborator.
I don't want any part of it.
I'm gonna do what I want.
Nope.
Oh man, I'm fucking up tanking this boss so much for help me.
I want no part of loot council.
Fail.
I'm in LFR.
What are you asking?
I'm fucking up tanking this boss really bad.
It's LFR.
It's LFR. Who gives a shit, Kelly?
What boss are you
Demonic Inquisition. I've never tanked it before, and I don't know what the other tank is doing, so we have no communication. And the other boss is just like bonesawing away at everybody.
Do you know Big Wig is up?
Yeah, just keep Bonesaw out of the raid. That's kind of it.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. But the other tank isn't holding aggro very well, like on anything.
No, he isn't.
That's actually the one fight I don't really 100% know what to do on that one. I typically stay inside until the other guy comes in, and then I jump out.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation. I sounded like we were ending. So.
On that note, if we are ending real quick, if no one had anything for me, I'm going to step out of Discord.
Okay.
If anyone had anything for me.
Thanks, True.
This ends the part of the meeting where everybody needs to be here. If you guys want to go do other stuff, coordinate.
True,
And we'll
keep
see you
your
tomorrow.
Facebook messages, please.
Do what?
I said check your Facebook messages when you get the
I
chance.
can do that. I've actually got multiple people talk to me on Facebook.
BRB.
Alright. I will check it and probably reply if I need to reply immediately. So I'll see y'all
Okay.
later.
See you later, True.
Bye bye. Alright. So I'm going to the AFK channel real quick. It was requested I check my Facebook messages, and I would be rude if I didn't, so I am going to check that immediately, guys. Join me on this venture if you would. Actually, no, don't join me. I want to do this. That seems very possible. Oh, they're probably talking about how they're going to kick me from the team. I mean, yeah, I'm going to get kicked. Alright, I want to check these messages. Yeah, but I want nothing to do with Loot Council. I personally want no part of Loot Council, because I look at it, I can look at it at a fair perspective, because I'll never get loot, unless it's something I direly need. But that's one thing. But, let's see here. No, I want that. Let's see here. Oh no, they're going to kick me. They're mad at me. Sure, and we knew you had this going. Yeah, I let him know. I let him know in advance, like a couple days ago. He wasn't thrilled. I could tell he wasn't thrilled. And Stampo sent me a pretty mean message saying "what the fuck" and a few other phrases. But it is what it is. I mean, I won't lie. I've been part of Dark Side of Cabal for almost 7 or 10 years. It's out. No, not 10 years. Probably close to 7 or 8 years. I'm not going to leave Dark Side of Cabal or leave him hanging. I couldn't do it. I've known him too long. Yeah. No one's up. I mean, Steppa might be only upset at me, but honestly, I mean, nothing can be helped. I'm really not worried about it. I'm not sweating it at all. That was more of a joke. On Kill Jaden. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty serious about to stay on Kill Jaden. Alright, so that's done.